You know that feeling when a fever finally breaks?
Oh, right, when the room stops spinning?
Exactly. You know, you've been tossing and turning for days, sweating, and then
And your
suddenly,
temperature just drops.
right, you take a deep breath and you think, okay, I survived.
It is the calm after the storm.
Yeah. But in the story we are looking at today, that relief is a complete lie. It is not the fever breaking. It is the water receding from the shore just before the tsunami hits.
That is a terrifyingly accurate way to frame it. We are looking at a moment of deceptive peace that just rots from the inside out.
Welcome back to the deep dive. I highly recommend you dim the lights for this one. Today we are cracking open Chapter 6 of Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
It is titled Remarkable Incident of Dr. Lanyon. And honestly, looking at our research, remarkable feels like a massive Victorian understatement.
It really is. This chapter is the narrative pivot point.
Right, if the book were a play, this is the end of Act 2, where the hero's fate is sealed. Even if the audience and the characters do not fully grasp the horror of it yet.
We are going to unpack a very specific high-contrast timeline here. We have a period of about 2 months, let us call it the fall spring, where everything in London seems perfect.
The birds are singing, the fog is lifted, and then, in the span of a single week, that reality collapses.
We will trace that collapse from Dr. Jekyll's sudden, almost manic revival to the mysterious and frankly gruesome death of Dr. Lanyon.
So, if you are listening, settle in. Put yourself in the shoes of Mr. Utterson. You are the lawyer. You are the rational man. You think the worst is behind you.
But you're about to be confronted with something your worldview simply cannot handle.
Let us set the stage. We are in the immediate aftermath of the murder of Sir Danvers Carew.
The murder that shocked London. It was brutal and public, and the manhunt for Edward Hyde was massive. Thousands of pounds in rewards were offered, the police were everywhere. But according to the text, what did they actually find?
Nothing. Absolute zero.
Wow.
Yeah, the text says Hyde had disappeared out of the ken of the police as though he had never existed.
As though he had never existed. That phrasing is so specific. It is not just that he is hiding in a basement somewhere.
No, it is as if a hole opened up in reality and swallowed him whole.
And that void is significant. The man himself is gone, but in his absence, his reputation grows. The investigation unearthed his past, and it was horrific.
Tales of cruelty, strange associates, violent behavior, hatred seem to have surrounded his career.
So the ghost of Hyde is haunting London, even if the man is gone. But nature abhors a vacuum, right?
It does. And for Utterson, this absence of Hyde equals the return of Jekyll.
It is almost a mathematical equation in his head. Subtract Hyde and you add Jekyll. If the evil influence is withdrawn, the good man can return.
Which brings us to what we are calling the golden 2 months. This is a fascinating psychological study of Dr. Jekyll. He does not just come back to society, he explodes back into it.
It is almost manic behavior. Look at the list of what he does. He comes out of seclusion, he renews relations with his friends, he becomes the familiar guest and entertainer again.
And he is suddenly incredibly religious. The text says he is no less distinguished for religion than for charity. He is busy, he is outdoors, he is doing good deeds left and right.
That is the key takeaway right there. When someone pivots that hard from total dark seclusion to hypersocial religious fervor, it is usually overcompensation.
Exactly. He's not just living, he is atoning. He is trying to balance a ledger that is dripping with blood.
There is a line describing his face during this time that really stuck with me. It says his face seemed to open and brighten, as if with an inward consciousness of service.
Open and brighten. It is such a stark contrast to the fog and the shut doors we usually see in this book.
For 2 months, Jekyll believes he has won. He genuinely thinks he has escaped his own shadow.
It is the work hard, play hard version of morality. He thinks he can outgood the bad he has done.
And honestly, for a while, it works. Everyone is happy, Utterson is relieved, and this culminates in what I like to call the Last Supper.
January 8th, a small dinner party at Jekyll's house.
Who is on the guest list?
It is the holy trinity of the novel, Utterson, Jekyll, and Lanyon.
The inseparable friends. The text says the host looked from one to the other as in the old days.
That phrase, as in the old days, is heartbreaking in retrospect.
Because it represents the restoration of the status quo.
Exactly. You have to remember, Victorian society values order above everything else. This dinner proves that order has been restored.
The monster is gone, the gentlemen are dining, the wine is good, and the fireplace is warm.
It is the peak of the roller coaster. You can see the view, and it is beautiful. But then, the drop.
And the drop is vertical. Let us break down the timeline because the speed here is what makes it so jarring. That dinner was January 8th. When does the first crack appear?
January 12th, just 4 days later.
4 days. Utterson goes to visit Jekyll, and what happens?
The door is shut. Poole, the servant, tells him the doctor was confined to the house and saw no one.
Okay, maybe he is sick. It is January in London. People get sick. Utterson tries again on the 14th.
Refused.
The 15th.
Refused again.
This has to be devastating for Utterson. We know he is a man of habit. For 2 months, he has seen his friend every single day. Now, total silence.
It is not just the silence, it is the inexplicability of it.
Right.
Utterson is a lawyer. He deals in logic, cause and effect. There is no logical cause for this sudden shift. The text says it weighed upon his spirits.
He feels the solitude returning, the darkness creeping back in. So, being Utterson, he seeks a second opinion. He goes to see Dr. Lanyon on the 6th night.
His logic is sound. If Jekyll will not see me, surely our mutual friend Lanyon knows what is happening.
And this is where the genre of the book shifts. We move from a mystery to a horror story.
Utterson enters Lanyon's home expecting the boisterous, rosy-cheeked, healthy doctor we met in Chapter 2.
And instead, he walks into a Wakes.
Essentially, yes. The description of Lanyon here is one of the most visceral in the book. He has his death warrant written legibly upon his face.
That is such a heavy line.
Yeah.
Death warrant. It implies a judgment, does it not? A sentence has been passed.
Precisely. He is pale, his flesh has fallen away, he is visibly balder and older.
Stevenson wants us to understand that this rapid aging happened in less than 2 weeks. But Utterson notices something else. Something deeper than physical decay.
He spots a look in the eye, a quality of manner that seemed to testify to some deep-seated terror of the mind.
A terror of the mind. Now pause on that. Lanyon is a man of science. He is a rationalist.
Right, he believes in what he can see, measure, and touch.
For him to be consumed by a terror of the mind suggests he has seen something that science cannot explain, something that breaks the rules of reality.
Utterson tries to rationalize it, of course. He thinks, okay, he is a doctor, he knows he is dying, maybe he is just scared of death.
Which is a natural assumption. But Lanyon shuts that down immediately. He declares, I am a doomed man.
And then he says something fascinating about life. He says, life has been pleasant, I liked it, yes sir, I used to like it. But I sometimes think, if we knew all, we should be more glad to get away.
That gives me chills every time I read it. If we knew all. He is implying that the reality of the world is so horrific that death is actually a release.
It is a complete collapse of his worldview.
Yeah.
He has looked into the abyss, and the abyss is not just staring back, it is screaming.
And when Utterson tries to bridge the gap, when he mentions Jekyll's name, we see the source of that horror. Lanyon's reaction is physical, right? He trembles.
He holds up a trembling hand, and his voice becomes loud and unsteady. He says, I wish to see or hear no more of Dr. Jekyll. I am quite done with that person.
That person. He strips Jekyll of his title, his friendship, almost his humanity. He regards him as dead.
Utterson's bewildered. He tries the old friends argument. Tut-tut, we are 3 very old friends. We will not live to make others.
Which is a valid point. Friends do not just cut each other off like that. But Lanyon is immovable. He says, ask himself.
And when Utterson says Jekyll will not see him, Lanyon replies, I am not surprised at that.
Lanyon knows. He knows exactly why Jekyll is hiding.
But, and here is the Victorian gentleman coming out, he refuses to gossip. He refuses to break confidence, even now.
He says, someday, Utterson, after I am dead, you may perhaps come to learn the right and wrong of this. I cannot tell you.
It is a wall of silence. He gives Utterson an ultimatum. Talk about anything else and stay. Talk about this accursed topic and get out.
So Utterson leaves. He steps out of that house of terror and goes home to write a letter. Because that is what Utterson does. He documents.
He writes to Jekyll asking, essentially, what on earth did you do to Lanyon?
And the reply he gets the next day is not an explanation. It is a resignation.
It is described as darkly mysterious. Jekyll confirms the break is permanent. He says, I do not blame our old friend, but I share his view that we must never meet.
And then he drops this bombshell. He writes, from henceforth, to lead a life of extreme seclusion.
But it is the next sentence that I think we need to spend some real time on. It is one of the most famous lines in the book.
If I am the chief of sinners, I am the chief of sufferers also.
That is the theological heart of the novel right there.
Break that down for us. Chief of sinners, chief of sufferers.
Jekyll is acknowledging 2 things here. First, the scale of his transgression. Chief of sinners suggests he has not just done something bad, he has done something uniquely evil.
Something that puts him at the top of the hierarchy of sin.
Exactly. But chief of sufferers suggests that his punishment is equally unique. He's trapped in a hell of his own making.
He also mentions a punishment and a danger that I cannot name. And he uses a very specific word to describe his condition. He calls it unmanning.
Unmanning, yes. In the 19th century, this word carries a tremendous amount of weight. It does not just mean scary.
Right.
It means he has lost his agency, his dignity, perhaps even his essential nature as a human male. He has been stripped of the qualities that make him a gentleman. He's degraded.
And he asks Utterson for the one thing Utterson finds hardest to give: passivity.
You can do but one thing, Utterson, to lighten this destiny, and that is to respect my silence.
Imagine being Utterson here. A week ago, everyone was happy. Now, Lanyon is dying of terror, and Jekyll is claiming to be the chief of sinners. What is Utterson's conclusion?
Insanity. He thinks Jekyll has lost his mind.
Cerebral disease. That is the only box Utterson has for this.
But deep down, he knows that does not fit. Lanyon's terror was too real. There is a deeper ground here, something ancient and terrible.
And sadly, that ground swallows Lanyon whole. A week later, he takes to his bed. Less than a fortnight later, he is dead.
Which brings us to one of the most atmospheric scenes in Stevenson's writing, the night after the funeral.
Let us set the scene. Utterson is alone in his business room. It is late. He is sitting by the light of a melancholy candle.
The city outside is dark, it is quiet, it is somber.
And on the desk in front of him is an envelope.
An envelope sealed with Lanyon's personal seal. This is a voice from the grave.
And the inscription on the front is aggressive. Private, for the hands of J.G. Utterson alone, and in case of his predeceased to be destroyed unread.
Destroyed unread. That raises the stakes immediately.
Yeah.
This is not just a will, it is a radioactive secret.
If Utterson dies, the truth dies with him.
Utterson is actually afraid to open it. He has this thought, I have buried one friend today. What if this should cost me another?
He is terrified that whatever is in there will destroy the memory of Jekyll forever.
But he is a lawyer. He condemns that fear as disloyalty. He breaks the seal.
And what does he find? A Matryoshka mystery. A puzzle within a puzzle. Inside the envelope is another sealed envelope.
And this one has instructions that stop him cold, not to be opened till the death or disappearance of Dr. Henry Jekyll.
There is that word again, disappearance.
It is the smoking gun. Remember, way back in Chapter 1, Jekyll's original mad will, the one that left everything to Hyde, mentioned his disappearance.
Utterson hated that word. He thought it was Hyde's influence, a setup for a murder.
But now Lanyon is using it. Lanyon, the rationalist, the hater of Jekyll's scientific balderdash.
Exactly. Utterson realizes that Lanyon and Jekyll, enemies at the end, are connected by this specific, bizarre condition of disappearance.
They both know something about where Jekyll is going or what he is becoming.
So here is the moment of truth. Utterson is holding the answer. The text says a great curiosity came on the trustee. He is tempted to dive at once to the bottom of these mysteries.
He could do it. He has the letter in his hand. He could tear it open right now and know the truth about Hyde, about the murder, about Lanyon's terror.
But he does not. He puts it away.
The text says professional honor and faith to his dead friend were stringent obligations.
Is it just honor, though? Or is it something else?
That is the million-dollar question. Stevenson writes, it is one thing to mortify curiosity, another to conquer it. Utterson locks the packet in his private safe.
I would argue that this is partly honor, yes, but it is also a survival mechanism. Willful ignorance.
I think so. Utterson suspects that the truth is something he does not want to know, something that will shatter his world just like it shattered Lanyon's.
By locking that letter in the safe, he preserves his reality for just a little bit longer. He chooses the mystery over the horror.
But this choice changes him. The chapter ends with a phase we can call the cooling, or, as the notes call it, voluntary bondage.
Utterson still visits Jekyll's house, but the dynamic has shifted completely. He desires the company of his friend, but his visits are disquieted and fearful.
He is almost relieved when he gets turned away.
That is a huge shift from the man who was practically breaking down the door a few weeks ago. Now he prefers to stand on the doorstep with Poole.
The text says he prefers the air and sounds of the open city.
That is the key image. The open city represents safety, normalcy, the surface world.
While the house, and specifically the cabinet where Jekyll is hiding, represents the dark, suffocating truth.
Utterson chooses the fresh air. He does not want to cross the threshold into that house of voluntary bondage.
Voluntary bondage. That is the phrase used to describe Jekyll's state. He is a prisoner, but he holds the key.
And Utterson accepts this status quo. He gets used to the reports from Poole. The doctor is confined to the cabinet over the laboratory. He sleeps there. He is silent. He does not read.
It seems he had something on his mind.
And little by little, the frequency of Utterson's visits falls off. It is a slow, sad fading away of a friendship. It did not end with a bang, but with a closed door and a locked safe.
It is incredibly tragic. Think about where we started. We went from a reunion of three inseparable friends, Jekyll, Lanyon, and Utterson, to this.
Lanyon is dead, killed by a shock he could not speak of. Jekyll is a prisoner in his own lab, claiming to be the chief of sinners.
And Utterson is standing on the sidewalk holding a letter he refuses to read.
It really is the unraveling. The curtain was pulled back for Lanyon, and looking behind it killed him. Utterson has the chance to look, but he chooses to keep the curtain closed.
Which leads us to a bit of a provocative thought to wrap up on. We always hear the phrase, knowledge is power.
Right. It is the basis of our modern world.
But in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, is that true?
It does not seem to be.
In this story, knowledge is fatal. Lanyon died specifically because of what he knew. I have had a shock, he says.
Utterson is alive solely because he refused to know. He locked the truth in his safe.
So, is ignorance actually the only way to survive in the world Stevenson has built? Is the calm we talked about at the beginning simply the ability to ignore the monster in the next room?
It is a disturbing possibility. Utterson chooses the air of the open city because the depth is too terrifying to bear. He chooses to be a surface dweller. He chooses to survive rather than to understand.
But as we know, that safe will not stay locked forever. The disappearance that Lanyon predicted, it is coming.
It is indeed. And when it does, Utterson will not have a choice anymore. The truth is going to break down the door.
But that is a story for our next deep dive.
Thank you for listening. Keep your doors locked, keep your secrets safe, and maybe, just this once, do not ask too many questions.